Hi guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making one of those knock you out Sunday dinners. After you eat this, you're definitely going to be knocked out. So we're making some roasts and some sides. First, of course, we're going to start by washing our whole roast with some white vinegar and water. Next, we're going to go ahead and dice our roast and begin by washing that again with white vinegar and water. Once that's washed and pat dry, we're going to head over to our seasoning rack and begin to season our roast, starting with some canola oil, then your basic seasonings, some onion powder, of course some paprika to give it that nice color that we're looking for, also some orange pepper, cayenne pepper, just to give it a little spice, but this is optional of course, garlic powder, which is my fave, some parsley just to make it look pretty. Also some Old Bay, and again I don't measure my seasoning, so I would start with about a half a tablespoon of each. Some minced garlic, you can do fresh garlic if you would like. Adding some oil to our hot pan, of course, along with some diced onions, and we'll let that cook until it gets a little bit flagrant. Then we're going to begin to add our seasoned beef to our hot pan. This part is essential when you're making your own gravy from scratch, so that way we can use the flavorings at the bottom from when we are sauteing our beef to go ahead and start making that gravy. And while that simmers, we're going to begin to peel our potatoes as well as washing them, adding some water to go ahead and begin the boiling process for our mashed potatoes. Then I cut up my veggies, some carrots, celery, and red onions. Then we're going to begin to remove our beef and place it on a plate just until we begin to make that gravy. Then we're going to put it all back. Here is our beef juices, and we're going to begin to add our cornstarch slurry that we're going to use later on in the dish, starting by doing about 2 tablespoons of some cornstarch and then about 1.5 tablespoons to 2 tablespoons of water, mixing it up, making it so that it's like milky. Then we're going to add about a tablespoon of the cornstarch to our beef juices and begin to go ahead and mix that up until it forms like a paste, and then we're going to add some water to that. The amount of water that you're going to use depends on how much gravy you would like. We like a lot of gravy here, so I started with about 2 cups of water and then about a half a cup of some wine, and we're just going to mix that up. Now that our gravy is sizzling a bit, we're going to go ahead and add our beef back to that. This is just me mixing everything around so everything gets well incorporated. It looks thin now, but that's when the slurry will come into the picture a little bit later to thicken it up. Next, we're going to check in on our potatoes. Then we're going to add our veggies into our stew. After mixing everything around, we're going to let our stew sit for about another 2 hours. You can add more wine if you would like to, but that's optional. Now that it's been sitting, we're going to start to season it. These are the seasonings that I use. You can use whatever you would like to. It's all according to your own taste. And I would start at about half a tablespoon of each. Now, if you guys wonder why I always use Old Bay, it's because I don't like using salt. So I would rather use that or like a Cajun seasoning. Now that slurry that we made earlier, we're just going to go ahead and add that to it. Then add some bay leaves and let it rest for another 2 hours. Now it should begin to thicken at this point once you let it sit for those 2 hours. Some people stop here. I don't, because I like my meat to fall apart and for my carrots to be super, super tender. So I cook it again for about another hour and a half. Now about 30 minutes in, I'm going to go ahead and add some crushed red peppers to ours just to make it a little spicy. This is optional, of course. Now this is just me grabbing the seasonings that I'm going to use for our mashed potatoes. We're going to be using the rosemary out of that red container. It just has a lot of herbs in there, so I wanted to specify. Next, we're going to begin by smashing our potatoes. You can use a smasher. I didn't have one at this point. I used a regular wooden spoon, added some butter to it to make it a little bit easier, and began to smash. Now you want to keep smashing until you get your desired consistency. I like Outback smashed potatoes and they aren't all the way mashed. So that's the texture that I was going for. You keep going until you feel satisfied and then you season to your liking. Now again, I just kept working on them until I felt like I liked the texture that we had. So that's just me showing you guys the process. Now, because we wash everything in here, we're going to begin by washing our broccolini, cold water and vinegar, of course. Add that to a skillet with some butter and garlic. Add a little bit of water to let it steam. Now, about 5 minutes in, we're going to begin by adding some more butter and some more of the seasonings that you like. We're going to mix it all around and let it sit again for another 3 to 4 minutes. Now, this is a rare occasion that you see me use regular salt. I kind of wanted a light taste simply because we have all those bold flavors in that roast and those mashed potatoes. Now, after a total cook time of about 10 minutes, this is what it looks like. My desired texture because I still like it crunchy. We're going to plate it up, and this is your Sunday dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please stay tuned for more videos. Bye, guys.